Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my new video where I'm going to go over the top 5 tips that I think every single Zed player needs to know. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is LowFit. I do educational content. I do tip videos, do guide videos, do a bunch of stuff like that, and I also stream over on Twitch. I'm going to put a link down there if you ever want to come in and ask me a live question. I try and help out as many people as possible. So, if you're curious about my experience, I'm a Diamond 4 player, so not the highest elo, but I feel like I am a really strong in helping out people that are currently stuck in the lower elos. I've helped probably over 40 or 50 people climb out of the depths of bronze to iron even. So just hit me up with those comments down below if you have any questions. And with these type of videos, I love to hear your guys' own personal tips. So if you have something that you do that's extremely good on Zed, please comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into the tips. Alright, so for tip number 1, I want to talk a little bit just about his playstyle and how he does against different team comps. Now, Zed, I don't think is the best blind pickable champion at the current moment. There are a couple things I want you to consider when you are going into champion select. First up, I want you guys to consider if your team has full AD, if you're putting your team in that kind of situation, you have to understand that it is going to be a little bit negligible and you might get blamed for it when you start scaling into the late game and they have a tank with 300 or 400 armor and you are really struggling to burn him down and their backline is just getting free access in front to back team fights. So just have a really good understanding that if you are gonna force your team down a full AD path, you are going to have to make a strong impact in the early and mid game before they can build too many of those armor items. So without that out of the way, with Zed, he can get countered quite a bit by very heavy CC enemy team comps. This is another reason why I don't really like just telling people like, hey, you can blind pick this and you can play this whenever. So just try and look at the enemy team comp and be like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be picking Zed when they have something like a Malzahar mid lane, a Maokai top lane, a Sejuani in the jungle, a Morgana in support, in the like a Tristana that can jump away from you in the ADC role. This is going to be an extremely hard point for a lower elo player. Maybe a Master Zed player or just someone that has a lot of time in it is going to do extremely well. Just know your own talents and how well you can do with the Zed. A really good team comp to go up against would be very heavy damage team comps with very low CC and very not too many tanks in the game. So just understand that there are very good spots to pick Zed and there are very poor spots to pick Zed, and I want you guys to just try to apply your critical thinking when you are looking to pick Zed. And yes, a lot of people know his kit quite well too, because he's a very common pick and he has very noticeable abilities. Everyone knows when his shadow goes out what he's looking to do, and they roughly know the cooldowns around everything and they know what the death mark is all about. So just keep in mind when you are picking Zed to try and pick it in the best situation possible. And that will wrap up tip number 1 with Zed. Alright, and jumping into tip number 2, this is a little bit more on the micro level. I want to talk a bit about a very common situation you are going to encounter in lane, and that is when you are CSing. This is the Malzahar, Lux, whatever it is, and this is you right here. I want you to just kind of picture this as an all-in that you are regularly going to take in lane. What is going to be a very common aggressive trading pattern would be to throw out your W aggressively and E in to get the slow and to set up your combo and looking for the electrocute proc when you are doing that. So what I want you guys to understand is when you throw out your W, everyone knows that the Qs are going to be coming, the Es are going to be coming. So you do not want to be just that person that just goes like this extremely quickly. And it might work in some ways, but what I really want you guys to look to do is they are very rarely going to be running straight behind them. They are going to look to dodge one way, the left or to the right. So I want you to take advantage of this dead time they are taking where they are not running away from you and get closer to them when you are looking to combo and try and hit both of your shurikens, because it is a lot harder to dodge a shuriken that is thrown from max range, say right back here, than a shuriken thrown from right here at him. He's gonna have a lot less time to respond. So please keep that in mind. And if they are one of those people that every time you throw out your WE, they are looking to dodge, try and close the distance as much as possible. A very common thing that they're going to be looking to do, especially if you catch them right here, is if you're throwing out your W, a lot of the times they're not going to be running in a straight line because they know that you are just looking for that straight Q. So take advantage of the dead time that they are looking to dodge. If you have any comments on this, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm always open to feedback and critique on my videos. These are just personal things that I have found success with. And again, I have only gotten up to Diamond 3 promos, so I'm not the highest level player. So if you're a one-trick Masters Zed player, you probably won't get much out of it. But if you're a silver or gold hard-stuck Zed player, these strategies might help you out a little bit. And that will wrap up tip number 2. Alright, and jumping into tip number 3, I just want to go over a couple really basic things we have just with our living shadow and with our death mark. So this is a blink ability. This is not a dash ability. So what that means is you're able to dodge abilities even if they're thrown straight at you, where as something, maybe a Lee Sin throwing out a Q and dashing, he can be flayed out of it, he can be stunned out of it, he can be rooted out of it. But with Zed and his blink, you can use it more as a dodge. So you can always look to use it as an offensive tool by getting your shadows out and getting your shadows really close to the enemy, or you can look at it as a defensive tool looking to dodge out of the enemy's root or stun. So how you want to be using this, a really good example would be something like a Morgana or a Lux that have a very high impact root ability that you need to dodge so much, or you're going to take a lot of poke damage and might get poked out of lane. Really look to use this cooldown around that, and that is going to just really determine the all-in. If you are using your W dash in before the enemy uses their Q, they know exactly where you want to use your shadow, and they're just going to throw it right where they see the shadow coming up. So look at your W as a defensive and an offensive tool, and kind of find the different niche situations where it works. Also, a second thing I wanted to go over real quickly with these shadows is that when you throw out your shadow, say you look to poke and you get a trade out on them, and the shadow is left up for quite a bit of time, a lot of people, particularly in low elo, are going to forget that is up after you have done the poke damage, and you can even look to sometimes get behind them if they are not respecting your shadow. Always back off. Don't look like you're going in. Don't be extremely aggressive if you're looking at to see if they will forget about your shadow. Always try and maybe back up a little bit after you use your abilities and see if this little trap will work, because as you see right there, there is quite a bit of time where you can make them think that they are not under any threat, but where they are really under a lot of threat. And that will wrap up this tip for Zed. Alright, and jumping into tip number 4, I wanted to talk a little bit about a lot of the situations that you're going to encounter with Zed against Squishies. A lot of you probably will know this, but I just wanted to go over it for just the few amount of people that might not be extremely aware of it. If you are able to burst someone out extremely quickly and they are letting you get into range of your R without having a W forward, a lot of the times what you can look to do is throw the W maybe a little bit behind you, doing your R, and then going like that and having a really quick bounce back with your W. If you want to throw it all the way behind you and you think you do not need the extra damage from your W, this is also another great way to just play out a situation where you think the jungler might be coming, or you think the maybe a support is roaming on you, and you just really need to get out as quickly as possible. So look to use your W in the way where kind of play out the all-in in your head before you take advantage of it. If you're 7-0 and you have a jungler, your jungler's right here, you might want to look to go extremely aggressive and just R in, and then when they look to jump out, you can W on top of that, or you can be throwing your W out in front of them before and doing that. The auto refresh cooldown is throwing out the shadow, throwing around the shadow cooldown a little bit, but I just really want you guys to not be on autopilot mode when you are looking to play out these all-ins. There are going to be different situations where throwing your shadows in different directions are going to be more beneficial, so do not fall into that trap of just being on autopilot and just doing the same combo over and over again, because a lot of the people that you're doing those all-ins on, they will adjust to your play style. That will wrap up the tip. If you guys have found a combo that you just absolutely love with your WR, I would love to hear it in the comments down below. Alright, and for the final tip, I think this one is extremely important, particularly when it comes to Zed and when you are snowballing and doing it extremely well, because I see this so much and I get so many free kills when I'm smurfing or in low elo, or I see replays and I'm helping out people coaching. When you are doing well with any assassin, not Zed, and they are really just there farming from under tower and they are not giving you any all-in situations, a very effective strategy would be to feign a roam maybe up to the top lane, and I'll show you how to play it out. And how we feign roams is we have vision control. Vision control is so important for assassins, because if a jinx comes right here, there's no way they are going to survive unless they like use flash heal and they get a shield by their support. So feigning a roam can be an effective way to pull people away from the tower. A great way to do that would be to just have a control ward set up and just wait for them, because they know that they're gonna get flamed if they don't go and help their top laner. And if you can just sit in this bush and wait for them to come, you are gonna get an extremely advantageous all in. So the reason why you shouldn't just go into the bush without the control ward or the oracle lens. A counter gank can be put onto you by, say, a jungler right here. He sees you, and then the mid laner knows not to approach this bush because you're extremely close. So always look to have vision control when you are playing Zed. It is so important with any assassin. And obviously you can feign roams here if you're on that side, and always just look to go in the commonly traveled path. Very rarely will a bronze player that is just kind of turtling under tower, they will very rarely match your roam by going like this. That is an extremely passive way that they will not go. They most likely will go from here to there, or maybe from there to there. So adjust your counter, or your feign roam, I guess that's the term I'm going to use. I know there's not really a super common name, maybe a fake roam that's a bait. Just look to use this, as I said, to kind of out all those really annoying turtle or mages. That will wrap up my video, guys. If you enjoyed the content, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, take it easy.